in the match, but we are going to be starting here with the Bad Luck Bracket round 1 between France and TM Knight. Bill, TM Knight are right now going to be playing with Bank and Colasson, King PLX, and Last on Legend. Looking at the civilizations on the map Midgard, which is actually a home map from France, I'm thinking it should be their home map because they were randomly selected as the first seed. And the gods are going to be Poseidon, definitely interesting to see. You don't really have them played all that often, or rather him played all that often. And looking at the gods overall, it's going to be pretty decent Greek war. That's nothing you really don't see all that often in the game, so quite curious how this is going to play out. So to finish with the gods, King Alex is going to be playing as Zeus and Legend Isis, that kind of makes sense. Legend is used to playing Egyptians, and otherwise the other team, France, are going to be playing Robin Hood 94 as Zeus, Villager as Hades. Yeah, Villager, I think that was the guy. Or was it? No, that was actually, yeah, the third one that is actually missing in this match. In the first round against JSS plus TSM, he was having such a hard time. I don't really remember the name right now. Sorry about that guy. But he was doubled in both games by T2N player. And even though he still did pretty good job in the defense, and it wasn't all that easy for the opponents to topple him, but still, yeah, that was quite interesting encounter for him, I would be guessing. The last player, Straxis, basically the team leader, or maybe even a clan leader of Sisu overall, is going to be playing Oranos. He has been playing Gaia in the first match, so basically sticking with the Atlanteans, and let's see how the Hades and Zeus are going to be as good teammates for him against TM Knight. Well, starting on Midgard with the first game, as Robin Hood is having pretty decent berries in the front, 5 of them, not really all that bad, and since we are on basically a fixed version of Midgard, we are also seeing 2 Kawis and not really any kind of bad start, just a bit of delay, nothing all that crucial, and we are seeing that he's already going for the fishies, and he seems to be finding pretty good spot. Let's just cheat a bit with the Fog of War, and yeah, well, it was a bit of a red herring, almost literally. But he still does have a pretty good position, even though, of course, could have been better placed here. He could have known that, and it's not bad for a Midgard, and those 4 spots, yeah, that's kind of okay. And if he is discovering those at the top, he could potentially build a second dock about this position, or maybe to the bottom. You can see another foursome here, so really not all that bad. And he should be pretty much fine, even though to the bottom that's quite far away. So I would be guessing the second dock will be coming up towards his teammate Straxis. Inside his base already going for a storehouse, as he is. And we are pretty on the Fog of War, scouting with the Kataskopos at the back, just discovering first relic for better hero damage versus Myth units. That's pretty nice fun for anyone. Also finding a few extra Kawi so far, not really sending them anywhere, not even using them for a bit of scouting, but he's probably thinking that Kataskopos will be quite enough to deal with all the darkness on the map, and he won't really need to even use, and maybe even risking losing those Kawis to his opponents, or maybe even to his allies, who knows. 5 berries as well, so it's going to be pretty much a standard on this map, but otherwise we don't see all that much hunt, just a few walruses at the very back next to the water, so not all that great. And in the middle, so far, not anything, like literally anything. You can see just hunt in the middle. It basically goes to Bank and Colasson from the opposing team, so not really anything that he would be all that happy about, but this is kind of okay, and he might definitely be kind of looking at it, because I'm thinking that they might be having a bit harder time on the water, because well, let's be fair, skill-wise TM Knight should be slightly better, but it doesn't mean that there won't be any kind of fight from Sisu from the water, or rather for the water, especially looking at pretty decent position of the dock on the corner. But yeah, that could have been a bit more into corner as on Midgard. It's usually better to place it in here, because you are having a better chance of not only having this foursome, but having a chance on the left and right. But looking on the left, only the orcas that you cannot actually gather from. Yeah, well, a lot of them here, but actually no fishies. Probably ate all of them, seems like. So pretty interesting spawn for him. Not really thinking that he's gonna be seen it this way. But he is already moving a bit to the top, and he's probably going to be attempting to steal at least a few fishies from his opponent, who is so far quite far away from him, as he, of course, is building a temple as well in a curious spot. Not really sure what's the idea in here. You don't really wall next to water, because it's of course usually quite difficult to hold if you are happening to be losing the water. So he's probably thinking he's not gonna lose. Yeah, well, definitely something to think about, but he could also be building a second dock in here, as he's already having fishing boats at the bottom. So that seems some kind of plan for him, and he will potentially be continuing with some buildings like houses and such around this point. Not really sure, but so far it's looking like that he's going for a dock. Exactly, with the hippocampus right now. Not really being in the brain, but hoping for scouting the opponent's water and seeing what's going to happen in there. Interestingly enough, the legend is right now scouting basically on the opponent's side of the map, dropping obelisks basically absolutely everywhere, scouting both the gold and the town centers. So that's kind of telling me that the Knight might be really thinking about some very fast aggression from them, and that's probably going to be combined with faster heroic from legend and casting ancestors to support the attack. Is definitely a very viable strategy from them. And let's see if the centaurs potentially joined with the Epicons from Benket Colason, and from the other side another bunch of centaurs. As you can see, those two guys spraying in there are going to be really all that difficult for the opponents to deal with. It could be, because they are Atlanteans, of course. One of them on the left that's going to be quite vulnerable to centaur raiding because of the problematic access to any kind of heroes, just basically Valor. And we are seeing, interestingly enough, Ares and not Athena from the Hades. That's really interesting. So let's see what's going to be the plan in here. Maybe, even though I thought that TMs might be the one aggressive on this map, you can see first advance by quite some margin by Beck and Colason. It's in the end going to be France who will be a bit more interested in the aggression. And well, he's already using the hunt. And together with pretty decent amount of fishing boats, that will be pretty strong economy for him. Because of course, that's quite fast gathering. Let's see if he's going to be able to use it to his advantage. But of course, he's also quite late advancing at like 5:30. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait. What's going to be the game plan for him? In the meantime, Straxis is going for a second TC at the back, as he is just now going to Prometheus also. So he's already building in Archaic Age, which is kind of unusual. Because usually when you are building Archaic TC, it results in advance at like 6 minutes plus. And it's usually done with Gaia, so that kind of tells you that he really is used to playing with Gaia, as he was in the first match of the Frozen Times tournament for him. And we are seeing that Legend is just now continuing with basically scouting all across the map. And right now Red is already moving into the opponent's base and trying to find something that he could be killing with the Centaurs. He has two of them, and is he going for Polemarchs? So far isn't. A red player, that's King PLX, probably doesn't have the resources even, so he opted for going for a bit more centaurs rather than upgrading them, which is kind of unusual, because when you are having the centaur Polemarchs, they are a whole lot stronger, and especially against Atlanteans, they could be pretty powerful. Yeah, already exactly annoying Straxis, so that he doesn't have all that easy game. 6-minute advance for the Legend, that's kind of okay, as he's going to be jumping into the Heroic Age pretty soon, and this is, yeah, pretty bad trading right now, as Straxis is unfortunately not really hiding the villages fast enough, or at all. So if there's some extra attack, oh, that was close. Well, that was damn close, because that was literally last second, as this dude did have the special attack, but luckily for Straxis it wasn't enough, and he's going to be waiting for another extra attack from his opponents. In the meantime, on the water, Villager is not really fighting for it, it seems like. It's like quite literally not fighting for the water. Just now going to be beginning, but of course it's not going to be enough, and going to be quite late, which means that Benke Colason is going to be having easy time winning on the water, and well, 6-6, 6, yeah, he's actually faster. I was kinda thinking for a moment in here that maybe they were moving so slow because of the hippocampus, but yeah, because they are really that slow. Okay, here we are seeing a bit of interesting stuff, as Hero has just lost the Sphinx to some hero citizen. He was able to deal with him, and well, he has finally seen the Centaur Polemarchs from the red player, and yep, that's the time where the opponents are going to be in pretty deep trouble. You're also seeing at the bottom a hunt from Villager, who is potentially going to be disrupted exactly by the blue player, who is right now arriving in the green fishing. And he's not going for any kind of boat, so of course It's going to be really easy for the blue player to basically kill all the economy, and yep, this is definitely not ideal at all. And does he have some extra hand then somewhere? In the meantime, or rather in the early game, we haven't seen anything. And he has already finished, of course, with the berries and such, as he is right now going for Military Academy and one archery range, hoping to be joining into the game pretty soon. And otherwise, at the top, it seems like at least some kind of defense by Straxis, but he needs to take care of the villages, as of course, even Odysseus is a bit of an annoyance. You are not careful about your opponent. Hoplite coming in. So that's looking like we are going to be joining with a bit more army than just this. So there's just one military academy, so nothing really all that strong. But looking on the other side of the map, we are seeing just the second TCs being captured by most of the players. And that's by blue and also by yellow. So not really any kind of faster heroic, like really faster heroic. It's going to be 2 TC. Faster heroic, a bit different build, to be honest. You are advancing after you build the second TC, but this is basically telling us that he's having good economy and feeling quite sure of himself. And looking at the amount of the villagers right now on the hunt in the middle, we have already seen a bit of a movement of the pharaoh somewhere. Right now, I lost it. Not exactly sure, but I have seen it. So that's probably going to be where the Midgard is gonna be dropped. And this is looking like a pretty good position, right next to gold through TC. This is the front of King Felix, so his teammates. But looking at the army from both Robin Hood and Straxis, it might not be all that simple for him, and he might be actually forced into Migdol right next to his hunt. Right now going for the Migdol somewhere, so let's see where he's gonna drop it. Yellow, that's the legend. And yep, it's exactly on this pretty sweet spot. And let's see if the green player together with his teammate purple are going to be somehow able to gauge this and see this and stop it, because there are a lot of villagers, and with the empowering from the pharaoh, it shouldn't be all that much of a problem to actually stop it if he wants to. They still do have at least one ceasefire from Robin Hood as Zeus, of course, which could be stopping this, but it wouldn't really make any kind of big service to him, because of course the legend would be just switching into the TC, and without any kind of foreplay, like for example Straxis or maybe Hood himself being interested in TC and already having the villages in there. Just now switching into Apollo quite soon at 10 minutes. That might be something that he really might be ruined in just the minutes after that it has been done. Mark is just now dropping for the legend, so he might be even interested in some fast mythic. Oh, let's switch yet again back into him, and he definitely could, because if he's gonna cast his prosperity about now, he still has it. Not already.
Into you.
In wedge.
Right now setting up in the middle with the siege workshop, so it seems to be basically controlling this TC. He is really quite well set up, and he's definitely having quite a lot of food, which is not all that ideal, because having this large amount of it and not being raw after rain, it is basically telling you that he's kind of mismanaging his economy and should be sending a lot more villagers into gold rather than food, and that's basically because of these unders, I'm thinking. As an Egyptian, once you are advancing into faster heroic, you don't need really all that much food, and the fishes should be much more than enough. Already having even Sal Amphora. He's having a pretty big amount of fishing boats that should be pretty much enough, and yeah, this dude probably going to be staying here for the rest of the game. In the meantime, of course, on the water that has been pretty much decided, as we are seeing his fire being cast for TC by Bank and Coasson. He's right now getting spooked by the Hippigons, and it's not a bad choice for him, because he didn't have the army at home. Oh, well, those quite close. Pretty big one. And didn't really want to lose any villagers, and at the same time he really was interested in the TC, so let's see if something is gonna happen with this one. Because there is a potential for stealing it from, I don't know, either side. But it doesn't seem like that the legend would be interested in it, as he probably doesn't have the resources, exactly, and still getting up in the food department. Again, be a bit more optimal from him, and unfortunately, not really. In the meantime, at the bottom, the M-Knight seem to be basically converging around this TC. Both blue already waiting in here, as yellow is joining in as well, but it should be finished maybe even in the last 10 seconds. But still, if it wasn't, Robin Hood still is having his own ceasefire, so not really any kind of problem for him. And that's going to be pretty close to 1. And Exactly as it is off, it's right now being researched. Also as 45 DC, and here we are seeing that the ancestors are gonna be casting as a support for King Alex's attack into Strax's base. So let's see if he's gonna be able to defend. He's having at these towers, that's definitely gonna help, but looking at the ancestors and basically the lack of heroes, as those two heroes Pumas, and they have just now been killed. The last hero in Murmilo and the Oracle. It's going to be very easy to clean up, and this is a pretty big problem right now for Straxis, because of course the ancestors are pretty strong, and if it weren't for them, we are seeing the hoplites here, and yep, not even those 6 citizens are going to be enough, especially since we are seeing that King PLX is using this quite cleverly to single out the citizens, and this is very well played. So goodbye DC and goodbye villages as well. So yep, that's pretty strong attack, and a very bad moment right now for Straxis, who is already resigning. As you see that basically he has been owned pretty hard right now by the double, but yeah, being full doubled together with ancestors, there's not really much that he could be doing, especially when the combination is hoplites with centaur polemarchs covered by all those chariot archers. It's a good combination, and unfortunately Robin Hood is arriving a bit too late. It doesn't seem though that friends are just about to resign, so they are in for having a bit of fun against their opponents in the tournament environment, and Robin Hood seems to be set up quite nicely. But of course, since the red player doesn't need to actually do anything with Straxis anymore, he's of course going to be switching with raiding of Centaur Polemarchs right into green's base, and maybe even onto teal. A lot of villages all around to kill in for other both players' bases. So yep, let's see how this is gonna develop. As you can see, that Banking Colossal is already moving quite aggressively and stealing a TC from Villager, who is at 2, but he's probably gonna remain in there as well, even though he still does have at least 1 TC at the back. That could potentially be his. There are kinda interesting TC positions, I have to say, because looking at the numbers, Hood is having 3, there is 1 free at the back, and that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they're kind of funny spawned. Because this is probably like King PLX's, exactly as we expected at the start, but it could basically be considered also as a front TC from Straxis, which is definitely not the case as it seems, and he was basically spawning with this TC as a third one, which is basically back one. So really, kind of unusual spawn, and a bit confusing when you look at the map overall. In the meantime, of course, we are seeing the ceasefire as there was a bit of raiding on the villages, quite a lot of it actually. So that was basically saving his ass in there, as those 5 dudes would be absolutely wrecking all those girls and boys on the gold. Whereas this is of course also allowing Banking Colossal at 40 Cs already to nicely set up right on the opponent's doorstep, and of course with 45 TC being research, he's going to be having a whole lot of population for him. Banking Colossal already popped in 180. And there was, yeah, the War Turtle. And we also see that the Leviathan has actually been used as well. So, Pestilence coming into play. As he's right now trying to stop all the army from his opponent coming into his base, which is definitely a clever choice, and he needed to do that, because that's basically his only chance at defense. But at the same time, it's probably not going to be as easy as he would have hoped, as even though he is having the watchtowers in here, he's unfortunately also not having the population for his opponent. As you can see that Banking Colossal's army is not really doing all that much right now, just retreating back. As Robin Hood has lost the TC on the left, and that's because there is a pretty strong attack continuing from King PLX and Legend, as they are aiming to close the game in their favor. Underworld passage, of course, from green into teal space, I would be expecting. But where? Who knows? Bit of idols. I'm not really sure where it actually has the other side. Where could it be? I have literally no idea. As Yo together with Red are arriving here, but finally medium Whippigons, and they could definitely help him in the defense. But looking at all those elephants, and especially the combination with the medium hoplites, that's not something that would be all that easy for him to handle just by himself. And of course, even this fortress right now that is coming down wouldn't be enough to defend against that. And I'm just totally confused. Where are we seeing the other end of the underworld passage? I'm just gonna pause the game and look for it because this is totally confusing me. So where could it be? It's not in Teal's base. As also is right now going to a bit of a counter-offensive on his opponent. And I'm not even seeing it at some back of the bases, so it's probably going to be somewhere hidden. Like in here? Not really. Where the hell is it? On the minimap, unfortunately, it's not really all that visible. Which kinda sucks big time. So I'm just gonna look behind the bases of the opponents right now. I'm gonna see it somewhere. Well, god damn it, where is actually the second one? Maybe I'm just gonna have to restart the recorded game to actually have a look where he cast it and where it's gonna show on the map. Because right now I'm still seeing just the one. Huh. And entrance to it is... I have absolutely no idea where. Well, that's really curious because not even on the minimap when I'm looking at it from really close quarters, I don't see like anything that would look like it. Like literally anything. And as of those, I would be expecting that he maybe wanted to raid somewhere at the back of the opponent's bases or some such, but that's definitely not the case. This is really confusing. I'm gonna have to restart the game then, because I really don't know. So, well, let's just finish with the game and then I'm gonna restart because this is completely weird. But of course, the Underworld Passage is right now gonna die from Robin Hood, and maybe he just cast it on the same spot. That could be, but still, if that was the case, you'd be seeing two of them, but we are seeing just one. Right now, it died on the somewhere else. So it died right now on somewhere else on the map. Not exactly sure where it could have been, but we are of course right now seeing that Villager wasn't successful in his counter attack on his opponent, who is having a lot of peltasts, which is a unit you don't really see all that often used. Right now going into heavy even, but with the fortress in place and waiting for the Petroboli, well, let's see. Maybe Villager's fortress is going to be enough to maybe even somehow delay the inevitable that is coming his way. Man Lion, of course, trying to be killed by Ajax, but unfortunately quite a lot of extra damage coming into him from all the fire. So we are enjoying the meteors, and are they gonna hit into the DC? They should. Now one more into the DC, I would be expecting exactly. The leader shot into the DC, but unfortunately it didn't really do enough damage. It seemed like that it actually did like 100 of damage. So not really anything all that interesting, as King PLX is right now through Hephaestus. Casting Underworld Passage as well, and that's coming here. And the second one is probably in his home base. Yeah, that was a bit easier to find. But I'm really looking forward to fighting the other one on the map. For the green player, as is of course King PLX going for the TC himself. Well, just going to be a bit of a cleanup session for both the blue player, or rather for the yellow player and red, whereas blue is trying to clean up with teal, and he seems to be quite successful because, of course, those Helepoli, or rather Helepoli wannabes, aka Petroboli, are doing a pretty good job. And are we going to see the Earthquake on teal's base? This dude is coming in for the kill. Oh yes, I'm expecting that. It's going to be after distraction at pretty much the very end of the game, as we are seeing that Robin Hood is right now resigning also. And the time for finding the Underworld Passage is coming close. Well, in the end it actually didn't do a whole lot of damage, because there was a lot of extra buildings that were able to absorb a lot of it, and especially since these Hades was of course having a bit more extra hit points, so it wasn't all that great as it could have been, but still, the victory was kinda convincing for TM Knight, and they are leading the match 1-0. Let's just check the post game and then restart the game, because this is gonna bug me unless I find the Underworld Passage, the second entry into it. Robin Hood Yeah, this is the name to look forward to at like 15 minutes, or where did he cast it? We're gonna check in the timeline pretty soon. But otherwise, Bank and Colason, he was just booming a lot. Yeah, kinda hard to choose. Was the best overall, pretty good team play, and good performances by all three TM Knights, but of course, Sisu also played quite nicely, aka Friends, especially Robin Hood. He was quite a presence from his team. That's a big economy advantage above the opponents, together with Legend. So here he cast it at 15:45. So that's the time to aim for. That's the time to aim for. 15:45. All right. Robin Hood. Fast. Where could he have cast it? First was here, and second, who knows? Oh, we're getting there slowly. 44, 45. Okay, make it playing here. Okay, so 20 seconds off. So right now, let's pay attention. Where it's gonna go from his point of view. It's gonna show on the minimap as the bolt. Ah, here in the middle, okay. Well, I didn't see it there at all on the minimap. It wasn't really visible. I don't know, maybe it was just covered by some units by the legend, but okay, that's where it is then. It's coming from here, exactly where we saw it, to the middle of the map as he was attempting to attack the middle TC, which is not a bad idea, basically trying to stop the push from legend. Well, unfortunately he was forced to have fully engaged right next to the villages, and of course right next to his front TC where he was just under attack. Well, so yeah, that's the mystery. Well, that would have been bugging me if I didn't look for it. Okay, GG then.